Welcome to the show, Dr. Ray Nannis. I'm very much looking forward to this conversation.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It's a distinct pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to see where we go as well.
Yeah. So here we are at Changing Life Destiny event. You say you've been bouncing around the hall for a day and predictably have seen some amazing things. But before we get into that, I would love to talk to you a little bit about your practice and how it's evolved, because, you know, it sounds like you have a rather unique approach to helping people get optimized and healthy.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, as you said, it has evolved. I would say I started as what most people would say chiropractors start with, is I got out of school understanding, bones out of alignment, put pressure on nerves, and I did a lot of physical adjusting only. And obviously I still do that, but as I've progressed, and I think as time progressed, I've been in practice 28 years now. I think we live in a different world than we did 28 years ago.
Yeah.
So from there, we added emotional approaches, and then we've added chemical approaches. And what I really recognize is that people have physical, chemical, emotional, and electromagnetic stresses. Mm-hmm. And we do what's necessary to help alleviate those problems. And once you do, then the body is going to do what it's supposed to do, mm-hmm. which is be healthy.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that this has been a recurring theme. There's a consistency to the people who are attracted to an event like this, right? The recognition of the body's ability to heal, the recognition that our world has changed and we need to do whatever it takes to support bodies and get things out of the way so the body can do what it needs to do. And the understanding that we're not just a physical piece of, as Ian Mitchell says, we're not just a meat suit walking around. There's a lot more. There's the electrical, there's the vibration, there's the light, there's the amorphous pieces of our bodies and our health that really need to be addressed for us to get truly healthy.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. And the fact that every single cell in our body does see light, every single cell in our body does hear, mm-hmm. every single cell in our body responds to vibration. And I would say I left school having a mild understanding of that. But then when I got into clinical practice, and all I've done for the last 28 years of my life is put my hands on people, mm-hmm. there's been a progression. People are sicker now than they were even just a quarter of a century ago. And so much has changed. I look at my great-grandfather, and he's passed now, but his first job was a horse-drawn carriage iceman.
Yeah.
So he used a horse-drawn carriage and delivered ice to people's ice boxes. And in his lifetime, he saw a man on the moon. Mm-hmm. So think about up to that point, what technology developed, which was very little. And then where have we come since the 80s and 90s into the 2000s and 20 pluses? It's amazing what's developed with 5G and all of the other stuff that's on the environment. And then from there, we have the worsening of nutrition. You put all of that together, and a lot of people are sick, a lot of people are suffering, and they're looking for solutions. So I think, as many people have talked about in this event, the time is right. People are ready and poised to be able to do something, but they do need help to guide them. Because Absolutely. Like this event, it's distracting. There are so many amazing things that you can do. It's like a candy store for a practitioner or for an individual even.
Both. Absolutely. Well, and I think the individual relies on the practitioner to curate what's out there to suit their individual needs. I think that, as a practitioner, job one is being able to get our heads around all of the things that are available, bring it down to the ones that resonate for you and for the work that you do. And then within that list, even curate that to what is relevant to each of your patients.
Absolutely. So one of the challenges is, I agree that people need to discover what they're looking for. And with my practice, we look a lot for people that are having maybe concussion. They've had a concussion, which the vast majority of us have had some head injury at some point or time in our life, even if it hasn't been per se a concussion.
No.
But when we measure people's brains, we see it. Mm-hmm. Almost everybody, like 80% of people, are what we call over-aroused. Their body has so much coming at them. And we think about we live with our cell phones. There's 24-hour-a-day news. There's so much information coming at us that didn't exist so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, when we measure people's brains, which we have a technology in my office that we use called a Neuro Infinity, where we measure how the brain and the body are working together, we find that almost everybody is what we call over-aroused. They're overstimulated. There's too much energy going on, and their brains are literally just going blah.
Yeah.
It's a technical
kind of
term.
spastic.
Yes, it's a technical term, of course.
It is?
So, yeah,
Blah
absolutely.
is a
Blah is a
technical term?
technical term. Yeah, really.
You made that up.
I made that up.
Okay.
So,
Just checking.
no, it's not real. The technical term is over-aroused.
Yeah.
But what I describe to patients is that, your brain is just zinging so bad. So one of the technologies that we use, and I've been using for the last year or so in my office, is the brain tap. And that's one of the vendors here today. Patrick Porter, I've had a chance to interview himself. He is brilliant. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Beyond belief. I don't know whether you had a chance to interview him. I hope
I did.
so. And he knows his information cold. And like me, he's a nerd, which I like. And his passion to be able to help people is incredible. So what we do is that's one of the ways that we apply for people, because that way they can come to the office, get the treatments that they might need, but then they have something to take home.
So you sell the brain tap to them, or you lend it to your patients? Or
Usually we sell it. It's kind of my best option.
Because it's the kind of thing you want someone to have in their home and use every single day.
It works best.
Sure.
I have a few patients that literally, I'm actually almost talking them down on using it because they get so addicted to it. But yeah, it's a wonderful thing to be using either when you first wake up in the morning, as a midday, kind of a 2 o'clock in the afternoon break, or to go to sleep.
Or all three.
Or all three. We use it with my children.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. I didn't really plan on it, but my kids showed up today and they've been bouncing around to the vendors and they're having as much fun as I am. So I got a 9 and a 10-year-old.
Nice.
So they're having a great time. They're really the only kids here. I'm kind of surprised because I didn't think they'd have that much of a great time here, but they don't want to go. I figured they'd be here for 5 minutes, like, okay, let's get out of here. And so
there's lots to see and experience, and there's lots of good energy in there.
And I think they feel that. And of course, my kids have grown up with no medication in their system and everything along that line. So, I can literally count the amount of drugs they've had in their system on less than one hand with both of them.
That's amazing.
They're unhealthy. They're the healthiest kids on the planet. I mean,
for sure.
They had lidocaine twice because they were tongue-tied. So each of them, that's 2 of them. And one of my kids cut her head open. And when we were in the hospital getting stitches, she got 1 Tylenol. So that's the extent of drugs my kids have had in their life.
That's amazing. That's fantastic. Okay, so let's get back. So brain tap is a technology that you found particularly helpful. And I know that when I interviewed Patrick Porter, he was talking, maybe it wasn't when I interviewed him, but talking about in a chiropractic office, if you can get the nervous system to kind of stand down, even from a fundamental basis of allowing the body to accept an adjustment, it is helpful in getting the body out of that state of that sympathetic mode.
Oh, absolutely. And part of that overdrive that we have is that we live in this sympathetic driven environment. How many people, it's like, I just don't have time to, and then fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And
go to the bathroom, eat.
There are days.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's weeks that we're in that. And our body isn't designed to be in that continual sympathetic mode. Now, how do we get there? Physical traumas, obviously. And most of us just sitting, the number one trauma in our lives today is really sitting.
Yeah.
Then obviously automobile accidents, slips and falls, sports-related injuries. But 50% of kids got their first damage from birth. Just all the twisting and pulling from the birth process. So if you were born, we got 50-50 chance right there. And then about 50% of kids have had a fall before they were 2 years old. Either they learned to crawl and they were on the bed, or they got dropped, or whatever it may be. So, now we're looking at 75-80% before we're 2 years old have had a significant trauma. Then we get into school and we sit for thousands of hours, and we get into work and we sit for thousands of more hours. Then there's emotional stresses, which we have all had emotional stresses. What my kind of key statement is that we've all done things we wish we didn't do, and we've all had things that we wish that didn't happen to us.
Sure.
One of the challenges is always learning, how do we become grateful for those, because they're learning experiences in our life. And once we have gratitude, we can deal with the forgiveness. We can deal with those type of things. And then I really believe that either through genetic, or maybe whether you want to consider it past lives or however you want to call it, we carry energy, just like the physical cells in our body are, although unique to us, the carbon that makes them up, the physical cells, are on a continual flow. I believe our energetic body has the same thing. And we need to heal that. And I think that that's one of the unique things about our time frame. There's practitioners in this room, I'm one as well, that we can help people heal generational stresses that they carried into this life.
Mm-hmm. That they're not aware of.
That they're not even aware of, but they're literally running programs.
Mm-hmm.
And that tends to lead to health. It tends to lead to relationship problems. It tends to lead to financial stresses in their lives. So if we have emotional stresses, that really can make a major impact on our entire life. Because, we take away your relationship, take away your finances, take away your business, your financial success, all of those things. Well, that's really what most of our life is, right?
Yeah. So how do you help people move through those things? Because, it's not obvious to the listener as a chiropractor. He's a chiropractor, uses brain tap, talking about generational stress, trauma. What are the different modalities that you tap into to support?
I have a couple
patient?
of different specific techniques we do in our office. I'm an elite master, just as a title, right, for a technique called bioenergetic synchronization technique, which is BEST.
Okay.
It's Dr. Ted Morter's work. I've been practicing that since 1998. So that is a very light version. It's very simple. We don't have to have a dialogue about what's getting into people's lives, but that's one way that we help people with it.
Mm-hmm.
But some people need something a little bit deeper, a little bit more kind of honed in and specific. So I do a process that's called release. And that's something that I don't really claim that I truly developed. Really what I've done is I've taken a lot of other people's information and put it into one program. And with that technique, we can identify whatever basically someone's problem might be. Maybe they have a health problem that's not responding to anything else. Maybe they are having financial stress, or maybe they are having a relationship problem with their spouse or coworkers or whoever that may be. And what we can do is actually release those stresses from the body. And a process may take about 30 minutes. It does not replace traditional therapy per se. Mm-hmm. That has a point, but we can make the progress that traditional therapy can make very quickly.
So is it kind of tapping into that whole idea? Like there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score, where they talk about how the body holds memory of trauma or holds that stress. So the talk therapy can kind of get your head there, but your body has to follow. And sometimes the body doesn't follow
exactly
the talk therapy. So it's kind of, again, it's reconnecting.
It's exactly doing that. I think you have the exact right idea, is because each organ in our body has various emotions attached to it. Mm-hmm. And there's a bunch of different charts that we can look at. There's a bunch of different people's opinions on which ones are. And I use a lot of them. I mean, I look at body code. I think that that's a really good one. Mm-hmm. That's one of the resources that I use. There's a couple of different books out there, I'm not remembering what they are at the moment, that have, this part of your body is going to hold on to, for instance, the kidneys are fear, and
right.
The liver is resentment. And
traditional Chinese medicine also has lungs as grief.
Exactly.
Grief gets help.
Or dogmatically positioned, one or the other.
Yeah.
And so some of the techniques that I've kind of got in is there's Neuro Emotional technique, which some people are familiar with. That's Dr. Scott Walker's work. And it's a variety of accumulated. I also do practice acupuncture. I practice about 30.
It hacks into the nervous system. I mean,
anything that can identify the fact that there's interference. Mm-hmm. Those are the things I've been passionate about, as far as being able to identify what's causing people's problems, whether it's physical, chemical, emotional, spiritual, whatever it may be. Wherever those blocks are, there's a way to deal with it. I can't fix everything, of course, but there's almost nobody we can't help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love it. It's so multi-layered. And acknowledging the complexity of what people are dealing with, right? Not taking a reductionist view saying, oh, you just need more vitamin C, you'll be fine.
Exactly. Well, and I think that when you're a hammer, you look at life as a nail.
Yeah.
So I'm a chiropractor, so my training is more on the physical level. And for years, that's what I did.
Yeah, but you've moved past it clearly,
Exactly.
and I mean, again, this hall is filled with chiropractors, and it's interesting to me that chiropractors often make this transition, right? They come out of school, they've been taught about subluxations and this, that, and the other thing. And there's a significant portion of that population that kind of comes to the conclusion at some point, yeah, there's something else. There's another piece to this puzzle that I'm not hitting. And I just love the different paths that your profession takes to really getting deeper into helping people to solve for X.
Well, and I agree with that. And that's one of the unique things. Of course, the challenge, I think, with chiropractic is people go to a dentist. You go to 20 dentists, you're going to basically get one experience. Different chiropractors are going to all take a subtly different approach.
Absolutely.
I like to look at that as our strength because you know what? I might not be the right doctor for you.
Yeah.
But I could be for the next person down the line. You do have to have that connection, and everybody has to have that. Okay, you feel like you're the round peg that fits in the round hole in that particular practice, as opposed to trying to get every square peg into a round hole. So the fact that each chiropractor is unique, and yes, there are a lot of chiropractors that do just the physical, but I think that it takes a little bit of a revolutionary, maybe more of a rebel, to get into chiropractic in general.
Yeah.
And I think our training by nature is a lot more open to allow us to grow, because I think so many chiropractors, that's who we are.
Yeah.
By nature. So a lot of people, ask me what I do. And I'm like, well, it's a hard question to answer.
It really is.
I'm a chiropractor by training.
Yeah.
But really what I do is I identify what's causing problems, whether they be physical, chemical, emotional, spiritual, etherical, wherever we want to go with that. And then we identify a way to remove them. My clinic name is Optimum Wellness Solutions for a reason, because that's what I do.
Find solutions.
Exactly.
And you're incorporating technology into that. And I think that I want to come back to that only because that's what this whole movement that Al is spearheading is about, bringing the practitioners together with the consumer, together with that health technology, and finding where the synergies lie and amplifying, your results using the health technology that is appropriate based on your beliefs, based on your practice, based on what you're trying to achieve for your patients.
Well, and they've done a great job of that here, is they have brought a lot of very unique technology. There's a lot that I hadn't seen before,
Well,
which I thought I'd seen everything out there, right? And there's always something new. You can get into, yes, I want to run for the new gadget, but it always boils back down to, we have to remember, the body is designed to be healthy. It just can't have interference.
Yeah.
And it has to have the tools that are necessary. So if we can remove the interference and provide the tools that your body needs, health expresses itself. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of my foundation. And I think that that's the reason that chiropractors are open to this transition, because anyone that's learned the philosophy of chiropractic is basically exactly that. So
I love it. That was a beautiful articulation of what you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I know we're close on time, and I've really enjoyed having a chance to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, likewise. So people can find you at optimumwellnesssolutions.com. Is
exactly.
That? And are you on Instagram? Do you do social media at all, or do you stick to the website?
I'm mostly on the website.
Good for you.
Yeah. I do have a Facebook page, and we post some stuff up there, but mostly it's the website, and you really have to have an experience with it more than what you're going to see on the web, because there's no way in the world to experience everything from there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
Thanks.